defense looked really good on Sunday. How nice was it for you guys to kind of have a coming out party of sorts?
That was very fun. Just to see sack after sack, the back end holding it down for us so we can get home was just beautiful. When you see everything that's molded together finally, you finally start to build that trust. Not with just the players, you start trusting Coach Brick even more. He's been putting us in great situations the last 2 weeks, and so he's got to keep trusting him and have fun.
What about training camp gave you an indication that the best was yet to come for this defense and something like Sunday was eventually going to happen?
To be honest, it was when the Tennessee Titans came in town, and it was our first time really seeing how this defense was going to work against a different opponent, and just to see the energy we had, the type of plays we were making, it was very exciting to see. I was like, I can't wait to finally go in a live situation and see if it really works out. And, I feel like with Tampa we played good, but we didn't play great. Even with Minnesota, I feel like we had enough on the field to make plays. So, just finally seeing everything molding together is beautiful.
Something James told me in the locker room after the win on Sunday was that you guys kind of feed off of each other, that rookie class and then you guys from last year.
Yeah.
What is that like? Try to explain that.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of young energy now. You see, you got Jalen Walker and James Pierce. They're very young. They're very passionate. And, me and Rook, we're still young. I think everybody forget this is our second year. And so we got guys who, not a lot of experience out there, but, who very fiery guys, very guys who want to make all the plays. We're all trying to prove ourselves in the league still, I feel like we ain't deserve nothing yet. We got lots to earn out there. And so I feel like it's a great that we picked James and Jalen. I love playing with them. And even with Flo, we get that experience out there, that's to help us out there. It's very fun.
What feels different about your second year so far?
I just feel very at home. I feel like everything's very slower. I feel like, the time with Grady when he was here, just the knowledge that he dropped on me before he left was very helpful. Even with David now, David is like perfect person to have in that room. He's very quiet outside of that D-line room, but when we're in that D-line room, David drops a lot of knowledge, and I love that about him.
Are you surprised at the jump you've taken this year from last?
Surprised? No, I am surprised. I put in the work. Off season, I really want to change my body, change the way, how everybody look at me out here. I want to be that guy who's constant energy. You'll see me out here running around all day, every day. I just love playing football, and so to see a different, I feel like I'm just happy to be playing again.
Was there a moment this offseason or in training camp that you felt like people were seeing you differently? You felt like that work had paid off?
Yeah, I mean, my plan coming to training camp was, got to cause more havoc, and I got to have some type of role. Got to figure out what my role is on this defense. And, we got a lot of great players. Zach's a great player. Luke's a great player. I just want to be a guy who either store in there, do anything. I go play the shade. I go play the 3-tech, the 5-tech. I just bring energy where I'm at. So that's what I feel like I do.
Yeah, is that you decided that's your role, to be the energy guy?
Yeah, just bring energy. Just do whatever. Pass rush, stop the run. To play football, be a football player.
Have you heard the viral giggle of yours?
Oh, yeah. The giggle, man. I didn't think y'all with the mics were that loud, so I didn't think they was going to hear that. But, yeah, I saw the video.
So what was it? Did you just saw them, jump off sides and you got excited about it? Or?
Oh, I mean, because I don't know when the guy, I could go both times he jumped. I don't know. After the first one, I laughed. The second one, I think y'all heard that was a loud one. And this was funny because, I feel like we all kind of caused that, that we were stunting a lot, having a lot of games, so just having a little fun out there, that's all it was.
I thought it was funny because the guys in the booth were talking about just how fun the defensive line room is.
Yeah.
Right? How funny. What is it about it that makes you guys so fun that people want to come in, hang out with you, and have a good time?
I feel like we're just a bunch of big kids, big athlete kids, just having fun out there. I feel like a lot of stuff go unseen. The dirty work we do inside. So just out there having fun, just being myself. I always been like that since college, so just being myself.
What do you enjoy about all the different things that Brick is asking you guys to do defensively, especially up front?
Oh, man, just the way we can switch things up, So like a regular defense you play, some defense coordinators ask you just to play hands-on and just play two gaps. With Brick, we switch things up. There may be times where he's like, all right, I need you guys to get off the ball. Don't care if you get reach. There's times where we might have to play more hands-on, and there's times where we're stunting, we're moving. I just love the variety, the switch up. And I think that's why I was laughing a lot in the Minnesota game, because we was doing so much. We started the game off just going straight, then we ran some games, started stunting, and then you can see on the offensive line face, they get discouraged a lot from that. And you can't just do it all the time, but, it's fun. When you finally got them where you want them, when you see it's working, it's very hilarious.
How are you all preparing for Bryce Young and the Panthers?
Same way we prepared last week, watching film. We know that there are two guys down, but that doesn't mean anything in the NFL. If you're in the league, you're good enough to play football. You got to have great pocket integrity with Bryce Young. He's a big scrambler guy, just like Baker, just like J.J. McCarthy, You can't rush scared. Got to rush confident. We got to finish our rushes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Carolina's been known to have slow starts this season. How important is it going to be to kind of get after them in the first half and keep them down?
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing is how we did in the first 2 weeks to stop the run. That's the main priority. We can't look at Carolina like they're just a sorry team. You know, they're a great NFL team. They got great players on the team still, and we gotta go out there and execute and finish our plays. Biggest thing is, like I said in the beginning, is like it's the NFL and anybody can win the game. And so today our practice raw was really being annoying with the scout team guys trying to get us going, trying to fast pace, a lot of tempo, a lot of different looks. Just, you know, you can't be comfortable.
And, you know, just your second NFC South game in the division, how important is it to kind of get back to 500 after the opening week loss to Tampa Bay in the division?
The biggest thing is, you know, these division games, they worth us 2 games. You know, you win and it's big time, and it's very hard to win in the NFL. So, you know, the biggest thing is not getting too caught up in all the other outside talk, all the rap poison there, but it's about the defense, and we just got to keep going out and prove ourselves.
The NFL. So what does that mean to hear that from Coach?
I got a lot of work to do. I'll tell you that. Like, you know, I appreciate him. I love him, obviously, but I'm nowhere close to where I want to be. And you know, I do this for God. But yeah, I'm not there yet. I got a lot of work to go before I get to that point.
But what makes you so special is that you are able to 1 week get 100, you know, receiving yards. So next you're doing 100 rushing. Just like, how are you able to do both so seamlessly?
Yeah, I mean, you know, with the O-line, like, it was just all a team effort. Like, you know, we understood, like, we run the football. So, like, we have to do it at a high level. And we made an impact and a choice, you know, to all come together, you know, during all last week and understand, like, we got to get back to our identity. Obviously, we knew it was week 1, so, like, we had some hiccups there. But, you know, we came back around, and we were like, this can't happen again. And we understood, like, what the message was, and from here on out, like that's how it needs to go. You know, every single week, 1 week at a time. Obviously, we got Carolina this week, so you know we have to impose our will on them. And this is a big division game, so as long as those guys are the best, like if anything, they're the best players in the National Football League, that O-line, because you know they do some special stuff, and even with Charlie and Teagan, like all those guys, like I appreciate them, and those are the guys that make it all happen.
How underrated is Drake London's downfield blocking?
Off, super. Like that dude is, you know, take a receiver out, the receiver ability out of him. Like his blocking is I think he's the best blocking receiver in the NFL. And I'm not just saying that just because he's my teammate, but like the blocks that I see when I'm running the football and how I can how I try to set him up, but how he just comes in there and just blocks linebackers like with no care at all, and he comes and just like kills people. And you know he's a receiver, so he doesn't technically have to like block him like how he does, but no, I think he makes the receivers go. He's the impact in that run game as well, and I appreciate him so much. So like whenever I got to block for the quarterback and block, like I'm blocking for him too. So yeah, I think he's the guy when it comes to receiving, you know, receiving blocking.
There's obviously so much that you can see in real time on the field. So when you go back and you watch the film, is it Drake that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that intense?
Yeah, I mean, he's won a lot of the, you know, we give out these belts for the guys that like have the best effort in blocking, and he's won a lot of those belts. And you know, obviously, when you turn on the tape and you see just the angles that he takes and how he just comes and just destroys people, we be excited, and like we'll go in the receiving room and we'll tell them like, bro, like that was insane. Like you really didn't have to do all that, but like I think that's just what he, you know, he's the best teammate there is out there, and you know he's just selfless and he doesn't care. He's gonna put his body on the line, and you know that's what makes him special. And that's what makes him, you know, a complete receiver, is by him doing not just his job, but then doing the extra and blocking as well.
How do you guys clean up some of those misses in the red zone?
Yeah, I mean that's just where the red zone. When we get in the red zone, like the mentality has to change, and we have to understand like we have to score. You know, we can't be. Obviously, I love, you know, the new star kicker we got. You know, he's the guy, but
who knows your name very well. Obviously.
Yeah. But like even with him, like, you know, I even told him I was like, we can't put him on the field until like the PAT, and it's our job to put the ball in the end zone. Like 3 points is great, but that's not a good goal to have, and we gotta. Obviously, it was 2 weeks, but like we gotta try to, you know, we have to score. You know, we can't settle for field goals. That's not a winning football team. That's not a winning offense. So like for us, like, you know, we can put up these yards, but then if we're not getting the ball in the end zone, like, what's the point? So that's been a big emphasis in us, you know, moving forward, is scoring in the red zone, and you know, not just scoring, but like making it look easy in doing it. Like when we get down there, everybody already knows like they're gonna put the ball in the end zone. So that's the goal.
Bijan, you said something interesting after the game. You said you watch Barry Sanders clips before.
Yeah.
Are you talking like literally you're sitting in a locker like watching YouTube? Like what do you do and why?
No, I actually like I pull up the YouTube clip and it's a different highlight. It's either Barry Sanders or like LT, like one of my favorite running backs. But I'm just sitting in there just while I'm getting an IV, the water IV. I'm just watching the highlights, and they're all watching. I mean, that's just what I do. I did it ever since I was in high school. Like, and I guess it's just like a reminder. I get to like take pieces of their game, and I just try to put it in my mind. And then when I go out there for warm-ups, I'm trying to like mimic what I see, and then it just gets me going. But yeah, that's something that I've always done.
How cool is it for you and your team to be able to show this defense on the national stage? You've been going up against it all training camp, but to actually have them show it and what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Like, those guys are dogs. Obviously, they've been showing it all training, like you just said, but they just all bring that mentality of wanting to be great and wanting to be coached by Brick and the energy that he brings. So obviously that energy instills in them, and they bring that energy too. But like I told Caden, I was like, because Caden is obviously the leader of the defense, and I guess Brick already told him Monday, but I was like, bro, like, just make sure y'all are back to square one, like, don't feed into the media, like, don't look at all that, don't look at all this, because 1 week you can be great, 1 week, if it goes bad, obviously we don't want it to go bad, but then they can turn on you. So I was like, make sure you guys are always staying, level-headed, and making sure you guys are always understanding this is a new week, new team. It doesn't matter what happened last week. Like, this is a new week, and Caden was like, bro, I'm already on you, and I was like, I already knew he was. So it's kind of cool to see like where their mentality's at and what they can do for the season, and then what they can do going forward too.
What is it about this youthful energy on this team, but the attention to detail that these young guys have that are making them make these plays?
I mean, I think it just like trickles down from the coaches to us, like, and then to them coming in and seeing how we do things, and they did a great job of bringing in like right-minded guys. Obviously we all have a goal in mind, but for us, like, we take it 1 week at a time, and they came in here and they developed that mentality as well, and for them, like, even with Billy, like, he just to see his maturity. I played against him in college, so I saw he was a dog in college, but for him to come in here and do what he's doing, and then obviously Xavier's one of the smartest dudes you can ever put on the football field, and I realized that just by talking to him. And then with James and Jalen, like, they're just dogs, man. Like, they're just dogs, and when you have guys that can learn and can be smart but in the game, and then be a dog on the field, like, you have the complete package. So those young guys are really picking it up, and it's fun to see. Obviously, we all love to see it, but even I told them, I was like, y'all, like, y'all need to make sure y'all taking care of your bodies. Like, this is a long season. You want to make sure you're doing this throughout the whole season, not just a couple games in the beginning of the season. So they all listen to that, and just seeing them how they're reacting and how they're going out there and performing is pretty cool.
Bijan, about watching those videos, like, can you say like there's times when there's things you've done like that kind of were in your head and you're able to kind of put them out on the field? Yeah. I mean, it happens. I try to do it while I'm on the field. Like, I'm not just watching it just to watch. So like when I'm out there, like, and I see a setup, trying to set up a defender and trying to get vertical, sometimes that will pop into my head, and I'm like thinking about it in that second, and then it just happens. So, and then I do it all the time in practice. Like, I when I see it on the phone, like, I'm always trying to do it in practice with my coach and trying to perfect it. So, I mean, that's just what I do for my game, and that's how I try to, be the best that I can be on the field. What do you think about the idea somewhere out there as a kid watching YouTube highlights of you?
That is so awesome. Like, that's why I do this. I do it obviously for God, but like, for those kids that are watching me and that are saying like, man, like, I'm trying to be like you. I'm like, I'm trying to continue to be a good example for you, and trying to do everything right on the field, so you can try to take that and do it for yourself, and then try to do everything right off the field too. So like, I could be a leader by example for them off the field, just as well as on the field.
What are the best pieces of them that you've implemented in your game?
From who I watch?
Mm-hmm.
My patience, and I would say just like breaking tackles, in small spaces, like making people miss in a phone booth. Like, I feel like if you're a guy that can do that as a running back, like you're already kind of ahead of the curve, because a lot of people just can't make people miss like in tight spaces. So I think that and me watching like a guy like Barry Sanders and him doing that throughout his whole career, like, and me trying to do that as well, like I think it's something in my game where I don't take lightly, and I try to do it, you know, to the best of my ability.
Couple more.
I know you're tired of this question, but Sunday Night Football, there were 3 pronunciations of your name.
Man.
Which one is it?
It's Bijan. Like what I said on the TV, like that's what it is. I know in the interview, like in the summer, you know, I pronounce it like how my mom says it, but like I tell everybody like Bijan, and you can say however you want. Like it sounds good to me. My mom will be happy if you say it the right way. So, but yeah, I think it's however you want to say it. Like you say, you'll call me B. A lot of people call me B, so I'm cool with that too.
You had a run, to go back to what we were talking about, like I think in the second half it was to the right, and you got caught behind the line of scrimmage. You probably made 3 or 4 guys miss. When you look back at it, or when you're in the moment, can you kind of describe kind of what you're thinking, or what that was like to be in that, to doing those things?
Yeah, man, I was thinking nothing. Like seriously, like nothing was going through my, like it was just me off of instinct, off of the gift that I've been given, and it all just happened fast. Like I saw 3 dudes. I saw one dude try to grab my shoulder, and then I saw another guy trying to run in front of me, so I know how to make him miss, and I saw it just all happened so quick. Like I can't even explain to you, because if I would lie to you if I tell you like I was like thinking about it, like I wasn't. But yeah, man, like that's what I mean by trying to make people miss so you can get vertical, and it just all happened super quick.
Coach, just you know, how do you? We've seen 2 different styles of play in the last first 2 games. Just kind of doing what you got to do to get the W, as you all head into the Panthers game.
Yeah, I think you know, the biggest thing with us right now, we're able to morph kind of in and out of personnels based on what we're seeing from our opponent and what's matching up with, you know, our personnel first and foremost. But you know, definitely was, you know, really encouraged last week. Obviously, the run game came to life. Those guys stepped up to the challenge. They did a great job. The execution, the communication, the things that we kind of emphasized last week showed up in a big way. And obviously, the runners ran really well. B was unbelievable in that game, running the football, finding those creases, breaking tackles. It was just an unbelievable performance by him and Ty and the offensive line. Receivers did their part, shoot the first play of the game. You saw Mooney and Drake blocking downfield to spring B for even more yardage. So, you know, was pleased with that. Of course, there's things to clean up. There's things that we're going to continue to correct and emphasize. But definitely was just, you know, in terms of going into that atmosphere and playing that type of game, knowing what kind of game it was with, you know, the defense playing so well. We were running the football and just kind of adjusting on the fly to just the flow of the game. So I thought those guys handled it really well. Ton to clean up. You know, we're still building this thing you know, into week 2, into week 3 now. But, you know, was really pleased with the performance in a big-time environment.
Have you been surprised with how people have tried to take away the deep passes from you all?
A little bit, yeah. I think, you know, would have thought the way we were running the football, especially, you know, 3rd and 4th quarter, but they chose to play their safeties really deep, really all game. And, you know, obviously we made our adjustments to keep running the rock, and the guys handled it really well. But definitely been a little bit surprised. I know that's the theme of the league. Everybody wants to keep things deep to short. They want to make you earn it, march down the field, which we've had some long, sustainable drives, which has been good. But I was, to answer your question, a little bit surprised, especially kind of later on in the game.
Do you ever worry that a young quarterback, and Michael's young-ish, will get impatient in that situation, and do you have to coach against that to say?
100%. Most young quarterbacks, I would say, Mike's got such a great feel for the flow of the game, how it was going. You know, obviously we were leaning heavily on the run. He could feel that what type of game it was. You know, he understands what's going on the other side of the football, how well our defense was playing, knocking out everything that they were presenting. So with most young quarterbacks, yes, but, you know, like you alluded to, Mike is, you know, he's not really a young QB. He's played so much football and seen every type of game, whether it has to be a shootout when he was at UW or last season in certain games. So he's got a great judgment of that. We trust him with the football, and when we do drop back to pass, that he's going to make the right decision in those tight games. So definitely, you know that Mike has a good feel for the flow of the game.
What would you say is kind of the issue so far in the red zone? I know that sometime last year there was that issue as well.
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, I think we're putting ourselves in too many third downs. We've had a lot of third downs where on the second down plays, we could have executed a little bit better to get out of those third downs. I think the Vikings did a great job, kind of rushing 4 and having a lot of body presence in the middle of the field that made it tough, where they're really kind of making you scramble in certain instances there, the way they were doubling some of our receivers. So, we'll continue to look at that. 2-game sample size is obviously small, but it's definitely something we got to get fixed. We got to punch the ball in the end zone, but, some small execution things. But then again, give credit to the Vikings as well. Some of those third downs, they did a nice job. And obviously we got to scramble when we get those opportunities like Mike's done. And we almost, had one of the Mooney in the back of the end zone there. But, some of those second downs, like I mentioned, are kind of putting us in some of these third downs that are in the tight red. The third downs are the most challenging downs, as you guys know. So just execution, and then give the Vikings credit as well.
Kind of said one of the things to help him from not getting frustrated when the deep ball is taken away is having a player like Bijan, who he can just have a check down, and he said he picks up so many more yards than you expect. So how does that help you, even just as an offensive coordinator, knowing that you have a guy like Bijan?
Oh, it's the most comforting feeling in the world. No, we're handing it off and getting 6 yards a clip. It's a great feeling. It's the old adage, like, run game is quarterback's best friend. It's no different, when we're calling plays up there. It feels the exact same way. So the way that those guys were coming off the rock, playing with the energy they were, executing, communicating, it was definitely comforting, especially knowing when I'm watching the defense out there, they're knocking everything out. And so it became that type of game. But, just like Mike said, I feel the exact same way up there calling plays.
You've used a lot more 12 personnel so far this year, and especially in this Minnesota game. I'm sure that was kind of just game specific there. But what has kind of led to that? Is it more by necessity with some of these receivers missing the first 2 games, or is it
sure. It's a combination of everything that you're mentioning there. Just what's our best personnel, our best 11 out on the field every single time we take it. Trying to mix 11 and 12 and some 21 as much as we can. But if the game calls for it to be heavier 11, we'll do it. If a game calls for it to be heavier 12, we'll do it. If a game calls to be balanced and mixed, we'll do it based on what we're seeing from the defensive side of the football and where we think we can attack them. So we expect those things to kind of morph in and out really every single week, and we'll see what the plan is this week. Is it kind of a mix of both? Is it more 11? Again, we're still diving into the game plan here on what we think the best plan of attack is.
And when you're using 12 personnel, that's going to affect Kyle a lot, because it's like, that could move him around the field in certain respects. I know you've talked about him being really sharp in training camp with regards to, knowing what he's supposed to do and everything. Can you just speak to your ability to kind of use him in different ways?
For sure. Kyle's playing great. He's playing really good football. The more that he can be a legitimate blocker, which he's done a great job. He's shown great effort, great strain out there. He's handling the edges really well when we ask him to do so. Obviously, that just legitimizes everything else in the pass game. So, really, really pleased with where Kyle's at. He's playing fast. He's, he's getting extra work with Coach Koger, left and right. And so he's taken some ownership, and obviously he's still a young player developing, and he's kind of finding his rhythm in terms of his weekly rhythm and what that looks like. And I think he's just going to continue to ascend. I know he's got a ton of confidence. The guys have a ton of confidence in him, and the quarterback, obviously Mike and him are so close that he wants to do right by Mike. So all those things have been great, and I just expect Kyle to keep taking strides.
How much do you notice and appreciate that Mike doesn't really force things that aren't there?
It's big, especially for an aggressive quarterback that he is, knowing how much he wants to take these ops. But it's the same things we saw with him at Washington, same things we saw last season. You trust him with the football. You know that if he does, take a check down, awesome. We'll keep it moving to the next one, and maybe the next one pops for him, and he takes that shot when it's there. But he's got great judgment with the football. That's always been his calling card from back in college, and it's definitely comforting knowing, like, hey, we might call, the old saying is shot called doesn't mean shot taken, and so that I think he does a great job at that, and he takes care of the football, which is what you love about him.
Putting your quarterback hat on, did you ever as a player measure yourself, or at least keep one eye on what the other guy was doing across the field and think about it at all?
Not really in game. You're so wrapped up in, hey, we're getting to this next. We're seeing what the defense is doing. Of course, you see a big play here and there, and you're chomping at the bit to get back out on the field to make a play. But in game, there's just so many things that you're communicating with your own guys that you kind of lose sight of that.
From a bigger picture context, I'm just wondering, thinking about Bryce and Michael, obviously, who are the young guys in this division, who will inevitably be from the outside be sort of measured against each other. Mike said he didn't really feel that, but do you feel that as a...
Not really. I mean, everybody's just, kind of doing their own thing, trying to win a game each week, prepare the right way each week. There's so many things that go into just the preparation leading up to it, and then you show up on game day and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, we're playing Bryce Young and, that offense as well. So, I think those guys just kind of stick to themselves.
Obviously, we know how the game ended Week 18 against the Panthers, but how much different do you feel game planning this time around with Michael compared to, like last year to this year? Because he said he feels like he has more rep with the guys, like he knows them better. Like, do you feel
sure.
like you're just like...
Yeah, for sure. We put a lot on his plate last year when he stepped in the Giants game. We motioned a ton. We kind of just ran our normal offense. Really, that game, Washington game on the road, you got to pick your spots with some of the some of the things that you're doing on the road, but he's such a smart, cerebral player that it's never felt like we're overloading with stuff, but the comfort with his guys is the biggest thing that's just continues to grow. But he's such a smart guy. We've never felt like, oh man, we got to really pull back. He can handle a lot of things. He sees the game well, so that's all been really positive.
Coach, how did Darnell Mooney do in his return to action?
I thought he was good. Mooney was good. Obviously, didn't get a ton of opportunities based on what the defense was doing, but it was great to have him out there. You feel his speed. You feel even when he's motioning in the run game, all the eyes are on him. What's he going to do? Is he running a route? Oh, we're handing it off. So I think all that stuff with just his presence out there, obviously he's a huge comfort for all of our skill guys because he's such a smart player. He's able to get guys lined up if they're unsure on what they got, and he's got total ownership of the offense. So I know every single receiver, skill guy feels great with Mooney out there, and we just look forward to him continue to progress.
Anything else?
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.